Hello, everyone. I'm Dan.
And I'm Riley.
And welcome to the next episode of That One Podcast.
Today we are joined by Chad Huff and Ryan Schmitt from the Tipton Community Theatre, here to talk about all things TCT, but also to promote their upcoming show, The Play That Goes Wrong, that premieres this weekend.
All right, let's get into the next episode.
Ryan and Chad, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of That One Podcast. We're here to talk about the Tipton Community Theatre overall, but also promote your upcoming show. So thank you both for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into your upcoming show that comes out this week. This is going to be released the Wednesday before your show.
Yeah.
So let's start with that. And what should audiences expect when they come to see this show? And announce the name of it too. Yeah.
So we're doing The Play That Goes Wrong. And just like in the name, everything is a disaster. So it's the Cornley Drama Society has finally found a play that fits all of the cast members that they have. That doesn't mean that they're the right fit or that they should have done the show. And so you can kind of tell that from the beginning. And as the show unfolds, everything just goes wrong.
Okay.
But it's true to theater where the show must go on.
Yeah.
So as things go wrong, we're just rolling with it. And so the more you roll with it, the bigger the mess gets. And so audiences should just expect to come in and for the next 2 hours, just have a great time and laugh.
Awesome. So is it planned? Are the mess ups planned, or are you kind of purposely going to have some things that, I guess without spoiling it, are there things that are going to naturally happen that you just run with, or is it all going to be planned and scripted still?
So it is scripted just for safety.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I will always stress safety should always be the number one concern.
Yeah.
So while it will look like a mess, it is a planned chaos.
Okay. That is good. So what, going into decision making for this one, it sounds exciting, very entertaining. What goes into making the decision for choosing a show like this?
So I had actually wanted to do this for a couple of years. Right before COVID, we had done a show called Noises Off, which is very similar in that it's a theater troupe where it turns into a disaster.
Yeah.
And so we had planned to do it last season, but the Indiana Repertory Theater got the rights for it. And so community theaters were blacked out last season. And so our planning committee got together and the selection committee decided on another show to fill that spot. And then they put our show at the beginning of this season.
Okay. So we have this show coming up, which runs Thursday, Friday. What are the exact dates? So I don't get that wrong.
It's the 26th, 27th, and 28th of September.
Okay.
Fridays, Saturdays, the doors open at 7. The show's at 7:30.
Perfect.
And Sunday, the doors open at 1:30. The show's at 2. And then we also have it October 3rd, 4th, and 5th. We're running it for 2 weekends.
Okay, sweet. So before we jump into more about the theater, what other productions are planned for this year?
So we've got our next show is going to be Little Mermaid Junior. It's a kid's show. And so that's going to be November 21st, 22nd, and 23rd.
Okay. So quick turnaround there.
Quick turnaround,
Yeah.
And the kids are already practicing. From everything I've heard, it's going really well.
Nice.
I've seen the cast list. It's going to be a great cast. And so we're really excited about that one. Anytime you get kids involved, it's always a lot of fun.
And that's about 90 kids, 80
Oh, wow.
some kids.
That's a
yeah,
lot.
it's pretty common to have giant numbers for our kids shows.
Dang.
Yep.
Yeah. And so then after that in February is going to be the adult musical, which is Robert and Hammerstein's Cinderella. We're doing that one for 2 weekends. So that'll be the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of February. And then also the 27th, 28th, and then March 1st.
Okay. So when you talk about a full musical, is there a lot more that goes into it than a show like the one that's coming up this weekend? Is it more planning? Because just thinking of like the timeline, I don't know if that's the natural part of the season where there's a break around December, January, but is it more in depth than you would say this show this weekend?
They're different. Mm-hmm. So, yes, our traditional season has usually 2 plays, a youth show, which is, I think, always been a musical. I I don't know that that's a hard rule, but I
Yeah.
think it's always been a musical. And then our full musical. Full musicals are obviously going to include a lot of planning and stuff that straight plays don't necessarily include. For example, you'll additionally have a music director. You'll additionally have a choreographer on your team to just put on the massive amount of production that comes with doing a musical. Yeah. But I wouldn't necessarily say that they're more, because the straight plays, you then have time to dig into a lot of the minute detail of a straight play that is kind of set for a musical.
Yeah.
They may have to choreograph their songs and dance, but a lot of the lines are, you say them how you say them, right? You sing them. So with the straight plays, you get a chance to take that time to really dig into characters and how you want to portray this scene or that scene. And so, I don't know, they're very different.
Yeah, makes sense. We've been talking about the theater, but I guess before we go on, can you explain the mission behind the theater? What's the goal of the theater, and how it came to be in Tipton, what you're really trying to do? Because obviously it's a nonprofit, right? And it's not something that people are getting paid to be actors, actresses, and be in the plays. But what's the goal behind the theater?
Right. So TCT's mission has a few parts. First, to provide an opportunity for the community to be entertained by and engage with local theater. We also want to present productions that are entertaining and reflective of our communities, right?
Yeah.
On the other side of that, we want to increase or enhance the cultural environment. Live theater is a wonderful way to bring in topics or walks of life that people are not familiar with in a given area, right? So we love to bring in things that make people think and make people feel ways that maybe they don't always have to feel or don't always have to think about. So to enhance that cultural environment. And then, of course, we look for ways to educate. So our youth shows have really become a core part of what we do as a theater.
Totally.
Because they are just such an opportunity for young kids to build any number of skills. They build community, they build communication skills. Learning to follow directions is definitely a learned skill, right? And you do it in an environment where everybody wants this to go well. It's so different than a classroom or even other volunteer environments where you might show up and do your part, and sure, there's a great thing that comes out of that, but you might not be so connected to the result.
Yeah.
But in a theater production, you're there for everybody to see, right? So everyone is engaged and learns a lot. And so that's what the theater is really all about. It's far more than we hope to provide one more thing for you to do in Tipton County on a Friday night, though that's great.
Yeah.
We definitely want to be that place to be.
And Tipton could use it.
Yeah, absolutely. On our Friday nights. But it's the weeks and months leading up to the show that I think the benefit of a community theater really shines.
Well, and the nice thing is with a community theater, we don't just have, there aren't just people who build our sets. There's not just people who do like if you're on stage, you have probably helped build the set. You have probably been responsible for other things going on. And so that's the biggest thing, especially with the kids, that they learn is even though you may be the star of the show, you're also swinging a hammer. You're also painting a flat, and so it lets them be a part of the bigger, broader picture.
Yeah.
And if somebody that comes in and watches a show, they may think, oh, well, they're the star of the show. They just came in, did their thing, and left. And no, we've fostered that it's everybody's responsibility to do the things. And that's the big thing as far as our youth shows is we've got some really amazing older kids that will come in and mentor the younger kids. I know my daughter, her first show was Alice in Wonderland Jr., and she was maybe 4 or 5.
Wow.
And here are these seniors and juniors, that are the Mad Hatter and Alice. And you would think that they would separate. And no, they just included her and made her feel like she was as much a part as the older kids. And that's really the magic of this. And that's why we have such longevity, is because it's not a one and done. You don't feel like you just come in, do one show, and you're out. You're already excited for the next one because you've built such community.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been involved with the theater? I just know you a little more personally and know your background, but.
So I've been involved for about 12 years.
Okay.
Was my first musical.
Wow. So over those years that you've both been involved, how have you seen the theater make an impact in the community, whether it's from the individuals who come and see the shows or just the cast, the crew, everybody behind the scenes?
So I think my first show off the top of my head was 2004, maybe. I think at last count I've been on or off stage for 30 or 31 of these productions over that time. The environment has changed, but it's stayed the same. Impact on the community, to get to your question. Community theater, TCT, is such an identity builder for a small town like this, right? People can come together and work on, an end product that is the show, but work on building community. I think that a lot of community organizations have rallied around with the community theater. We've built relationships with businesses downtown through sponsorships, and it just becomes one of those things that Tipton is, right?
Yeah.
And that's we're a 33-year self-sustaining nonprofit. That's not something that you say lightly, especially for a completely volunteer-run organization. And I know we're going to talk about what exactly goes into a show, but if I give that spiel and you think, oh wow, that's all volunteers, and it has been for 30 plus years, it's a really big deal. So I think that it's one more layer in our community of people working together and really producing something that they're proud of and is uniquely Tipton.
Yeah. Yeah. So you talked about it's full volunteer. That's probably one of the challenges involved. But what are some of the other challenges facing the theater over the past few years, ongoing, as just the world continues to change? So how does the theater adapt to these different challenges?
Well, some challenges, like Chad said before, is just the financial side of things. Since we're a non-for-profit, it's making sure that we keep the lights on, making sure, that we can get the rights. And so we do that with grants from the Indiana Arts Foundation. And like he said, we have great partners here in Tipton that come alongside us to either sponsor a show, or the Campbell Family Foundation has been amazing the past several years, and they've been a seasoned sponsor, which helps so much, because what a lot of people don't realize is you have to apply for rights several months in advance. And then also the partnership we have with the school helps us as well.
Yeah.
We don't take for granted we're a guest in there, but we've built a really nice partnership with that. But it's always a struggle, because we wait until the teachers get their dates in, and then we can go in and put our dates in. And so that's how we get our rights. And that's why sometimes we'll announce a season and then we go to apply for rights, just like with my show 2 seasons ago, and we find out that it's no longer available. And so those are some of the big struggles.
Yeah.
And then it's also to the point of volunteers, it's finding volunteers.
Yeah.
Because there is burnout. Like he said, we've been involved with seasons where we were in every show. And after you do that for a few seasons, people start to back, life happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's fostering a community where we have new people that want to come in and learn, and they feel willing and able to come in and learn what we do and be a part of that. And so, those are the big struggles, is the volunteers, the actors, but also the financial side, making sure that we stay sustainable for future generations of theater goers.
Yeah.
And if I can add to the volunteer portion of that, what some people don't realize about the theater is the amount of technical expertise that we have to have to do these shows. And I say we as in the whole theater, right? Not me. I don't have all those skills. But lights and sound is a great example.
Mm.
There's real, you guys know all about that.
Dan
right?
setting this up beforehand. I have no clue about
You
shadows
can't walk in
and
and just figure that out. But I think we've fostered a great environment where people do feel like they can walk in and there will be somebody that is willing to teach what they know to this next generation of person. The soundboard for this show, I'm just going to plug it, is being run by high school students, and they're fantastic.
Nice.
They are on top of it because they want to be there. But it is a challenge to find. I would say it's probably the shallowest pool of those that can run our lights or run our sound. And we have a couple of very key volunteers that help us build our sets, that if they were gone, we'd have to find somebody. We have a costumer who has been doing this for the entire tenure of the community theater. And if she goes, we're really going to have to figure out who's going to be there next. And we do have wonderful people waiting in the wings. It's not that, it's just sometimes you walk in and you think, I don't want to sing or dance. I want to help. And you have to figure out that there's a lot to that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So one of the challenges too is the rights for shows and stuff. And could you dive into more about how you go about selecting shows and getting the rights? Because I know I've seen, people suggest, do this show next year, do that show. Well, sometimes it's not always just as easy as putting on the most popular show because that's what people want to see. Can you talk about the thought process, the selection process, and then why some shows get chosen over others?
You want me to start? Sure. We have a selection committee that's looking at a few things. Some of it is certainly shows that we think the community will enjoy, right? That's at the end of the day,
that's the
we're
goal
all here to see things that we want to go out and see.
Yeah.
Some of that is just a feasibility discussion. To be completely frank, there are some shows that we would have to have a major influx of volunteers and or money to accomplish, right? Phantom of the Opera will not look the same at TCT as it will, on stage in London, right? It's just not going to. And it doesn't mean we can't do Phantom of the Opera. It means that we have to have a real discussion about what would that look like if we did it? What kind of audience do we think we would get? Sure, in that scenario, I think a lot of people would come out to see Phantom of the Opera. We just have to talk about, could we afford to do it the way that we would be proud to present it?
Yeah.
Right? There are lots of newer shows which just are so expensive to produce that we do not want to put on the budget version of that show, right? I do think when you come to TCT, and maybe we're biased, but you're gonna see a production value and a level of talent that I don't think you'll expect from a community of our size.
It's true.
And that's very intentional. And then of course some of the shows that we've talked about wanting to do or that have been suggested, you have to find a director to do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes shows that have come to the table have died in committee for lack of anybody that we could find ready to take on that show. And it's just the nature of a limited universe we've got to work with. I don't know if you've got anything to add to that, but it's just a discussion.
No, it really is. And it's like he said, it's thinking also too about the actor pool that we have. We've done some musicals that should have had 40 and 50 people, and we had to downsize because we just didn't have the people come out.
Yeah.
And so it's weighing the pros and cons of, do we think not only will the community like this, but is this something that our actors would get excited about?
Yeah.
Because we've all seen shows that you can tell, and shameless plug, but I feel like the show we're doing right now, everybody's excited to be there and everybody wants to be there.
Yeah.
But we've also been a part of shows where we're doing it because the show has to get done. And so it's also weighing in, and that's another thing that the selection committee takes into account is this something that our actors are going to enjoy? You know, because we could put on, you know, you could do Oklahoma or you could do My Fair Lady over and over again, and the audience is probably going to love it, but the actors eventually will get tired.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's the other thing is making sure that it's not only engaging for our audiences, but it's engaging for our volunteers and our actors.
Has just a random question. Has there been repeat shows? I'm assuming probably over the
over the course of the years. Like I said, this is 33. This is either our 33rd or 34th season.
33.
Yeah.
I think it was 92.
More than 30 years. Well,
30, more than 30 years.
Yeah.
We've definitely repeated things. Obviously, we try for those to be pretty far apart. The youth shows, I think we've done Wizard of Oz.
We've done The Wizard of Oz twice as an adult show, once
As a youth show.
Yeah.
We've done Shrek and then Shrek Junior.
Yeah.
This season marks the second time that we're doing Little Mermaid Junior.
Okay.
So we do, you know, and the nice thing is, but we space it out so that it's a new generation that's doing it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, for our youth shows, these are kids that may have come when they were 4 or 5 years old and seen this show.
And now
happen.
they're getting
and
to
now
be
they're
in it.
juniors in
Yeah.
high school auditioning to be Ariel and Flounder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's some value to that in the youth shows, but not as many repeats as you might think over the course of 30 years.
Awesome. So you're directing this upcoming show, correct? What goes into it from a director's standpoint? Obviously, being behind the scenes of the crew has a specific job. The cast has specific jobs. What does it look like from a director's standpoint of managing all of this?
So I've been planning, like I said, for 2 years. And so I try to do that with anything that I direct. I dive in because as soon as I have auditions, I want anybody to be able to come and ask me a question. And I probably have already thought of what could go wrong and what we should do.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work up front. And then you get to the auditions. And so it's finding the right people to fill the roles. But it's also about the production team. And like Chad said, we've got some fantastic people that fill those roles. And for me, the biggest thing is letting the people who are good at what they do what they do. I don't like to micromanage. So I feel like our set designer, he knows what he's doing. I say, make it so, and he does.
Yeah.
Darlene, our costumer, is fantastic. I show her my ideas, and she just runs with it. And so lighting, sound, it's all about having good volunteers who are willing to just use their talents and then being the leader to say, just go do that.
Yeah.
And then it's relying on your cast. So I will say that I do take great pride in the work that we do, but I'm also kind of a micromanager in I will just tell you how I want something to be.
Yeah.
Some directors are like, let's just play it and see how, and for me, I feel like that gives a lot of gray area where some actors are kind of uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
So I tell them at the beginning, you're just my Gumby. I'm just going to move you how I want you to be, and we'll see how it works.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people like that because we're just able to play with it. And, you know, it's not saying that someone may not have a better idea and say, can we try it? And I'm like, yeah, let's see how it works. But from a director, I think it's always moving forward and having a vision of what you want the end goal to be. And then working step by step. It's eating the elephant one bite at a time. It's giving everybody goals on when you're going to have your lines memorized so we can get off book, so we can start moving and getting actions to things. And so it's making sure that everything flows and making sure everybody has a good time. Because as long as everybody's having fun and everybody's enjoying being there, they're going to put the work in. They're going to put the effort in. And this cast has been phenomenal with how hard they've worked and the amount of effort that they're putting into every practice and making sure that if I give them a note to change something, I promise you the next time we come in, they're going to nail.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's great. And sometimes we'll look at it and be like, that didn't work, did it? No, it didn't.
Yeah.
Let's change that. But that's the fun of directing is you get to play and you get to work with great people who are willing to let you have fun. And they're having just as much fun. And so at the end of the day, as a director, as long as everybody's having fun, I couldn't ask for more.
Yeah. Now, I don't know, has there ever been a director that's also been cast at the same time? Is that a possibility?
It happens, but I don't
Sometimes
know.
out of necessity.
Okay.
Yes, I would
Yeah.
say most of the time.
Yeah.
Out of necessity. Either you've got somebody drop out of a show unexpectedly. I know I directed a Shakespeare production a few years ago that I did not intend to be in any way. And there was a skiing accident by one of our cast members, and I ended up in the show. I would say it's pretty rare for a director to intend to put themselves in outside of like a very minor role because they think that it would be fun to just be on stage with everyone. Directors do things differently, and I think it's really important that we give directors license to do that. Some directors sit in the audience on the nights of the shows. They sit and they watch because at that point, if you have not empowered the people on stage and behind the scenes to do their job, then you're probably not going to fix it.
There are no notes to be given.
I'm one of those guys. I'm in the audience. The last show that I directed, I sat and watched because
you've put in the work though,
had
so
it
now
well,
it's
and they were great.
Yeah.
They had it. They were ready to go, and so, directors are in the shows every now and then.
Okay.
Sometimes it's more of a cameo, like for fun. I know my wife has directed 3 or 4 of the kid shows. And so like she just got done directing Moana last year. And so her and the other directors, there were some monsters. And they were just these cardboard cutouts.
Yeah.
And so they thought it would be fun just to have fun with the kids.
Yeah.
So they were the monsters.
Nice.
It's not taking away anybody's role,
Yeah.
And like Chad said, it's more out of necessity. So it's a skiing accident. I did a show several years ago where
I feel like there's a story behind this.
there's always
That was the whole story. Got cast for part, went skiing, hurt.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
basically
But I had to do a role where I also directed a show that I did because I didn't have any guys come out for my show. And that, again, is where we're talking about getting volunteers. So, but I think there are other theaters that do it more. We always try to just have open auditions, so we never precast. We will always, it's always who fits the role the best.
Yeah.
Where you will find in other communities, other theaters, where people precast, people already have shows, or people set. That's the beautiful thing about TCT, and that's what I love. Even our show, we've got 5 people on stage that have never done a TCT show before.
Wow.
And so we're very inclusive from other communities come in. You've got just as much a shot as somebody who's done 30 shows.
That's awesome. So kind of transitioning to volunteers and getting involved, can you talk about the audition process and what it looks like for somebody, there's 5 people who've never been in a show that are going to be in this show. What does that audition process look like?
Do you want to take that?
Sure. Well, it's going to be slightly different each time, but there's a pretty standard way that we do auditions. So they're announced through all of our media channels as early as we can get dates.
Yeah.
Right. And then depending on the size of the cast, we might do a couple of things. It might be an open audition for a straight play, like The Play That Goes Wrong. We found a location, so the Tipton County Foundation Auditorium. Came in, did auditions over the course of 2 nights. They're traditionally Sunday evening and a Monday evening, just to give the broadest availability there. There is a team, including the director and some people from the board and whoever else the director has included from the production team, that will run the auditions. For a straight play, that will probably include some cold reading from the script. It might include some movements. I know that we had to fall down to be in this show. They wanted to see us fall down, and a couple of the roles they wanted to see someone faint. I mean, that might happen.
Yeah.
And I saw, don't mean to interrupt, but I saw even on your Facebook, you put out a video of practicing spitting. Was that, was that in the audition?
It was
too?
in the audition.
That was
Okay.
we didn't want to make a mess of the fountain.
Yeah.
The foundation is grateful for that.
Yeah.
But it was an essential skill at the end of the show, without spoiling much of anything. But then for the musicals, obviously you've got to come in with something to sing. And we cut that to a certain length. And traditionally, it's not something from the show that you are auditioning for, though we've had youth shows and things take a different approach to that sometimes because, if Moana's there to sing that song and that's what you want to hear, well, then maybe that's what we want the kids that are auditioning for that part to do. Gosh, like I said, there's 80 some, 90 some kids in this most recent kids show. It's gotten over 100 before.
Wow.
So I think the youth shows have started to set times and assign people times to come in and audition. So you're not just sitting there in a sea of kids and parents for 3 hours just listening to
that sounds like chaos.
the same 4 or 5 songs. Let's be honest.
It's
Over and
chaos,
over again.
and what we ran into as well is, especially a young performer who this may be their first audition, and they've just watched 70 other people sing. You get in your own head and you psych yourself out. And so what makes it nice is to be able to block off, in 15 minutes, we're going to let these 5 kids do their audition. And those are the only ones. It's a smaller atmosphere. So it makes it more comfortable for our first performers that it makes it more inviting, more welcome.
Yeah.
So, and even that has been a process that, like Chad said, that we've got a committee that'll come, but we're always making adjustments to how we do things just to try to make it more inclusive and better for.
And every show's different too.
Every show,
Sure. There's no set process.
And then sometimes the choreographer will have a dance piece that they'll also have the cast dance just to make sure if you're being cast in a lead role that you don't have 2 left feet.
Yeah.
So it is very involved, but I think again every audition is planned so that it hits the key points that show needs.
Perfect. So for those looking who have now listened or watched to this, looking to get involved, what opportunities are out there? Obviously, probably nothing for this upcoming show. Maybe, I don't know, but it's a tight deadline for a couple of days from now. But the upcoming shows, we were talking beforehand that it's already been casted for the kids play and everything coming up. But what other opportunities out there in general are there for somebody who's maybe never been involved before but wants to?
Well, they are endless. I think we've referenced several times the broad range of people that we need to do a show. There's whole subsets of volunteers, right? Yeah. There are the people that show up that just want to help build the set. We've got people that I can picture right now that's what they're going to do. They just want to come and do that. I know when I got involved with theater when I was in high school, I started backstage. I really didn't have any interest in being on stage until 2 or 3 years into the thing. But as far as getting involved with the theater, it's more of a come get involved and you'll find the best place for yourself than it is, hey, we need people who can do X, Y, or Z. I talked about lights and sound being kind of technical, more than kind of technical, right? If you've got that area of expertise or a desire to learn that area, fantastic. We will get you in on the programs that we use and get you familiar with that environment. If you want to act, well, that's it, right? I mean, you come in and you audition. But I would say even to those who might come in and they're unsure about auditioning or they're unsure that they're even going to get the part or maybe they don't get the part, that doesn't mean you're not involved with the show if you want to be, right? Backstage is really something to see during a production, especially some of our larger productions. We've had a few that just felt so huge. I mean, I think of Music Man and Mary Poppins. For Mary Poppins, just side story, we constructed a 2-story doll house. Would you call it a doll house that opened?
And that was the Banks house.
Yeah, that had to be moved on and off stage. That had to be not only built but
to roll it on and off stage.
Yeah, it looked like you'd opened Barbie's Dream House, but themed Mary Poppins, right? Yeah. That was a tremendous undertaking, and so anybody that wanted to paint build dress sets, bring in props, prop management. Gosh, I didn't even talk about that
Props
yet.
is huge. Yeah.
A show like the one that we're doing now, there are people that their whole job back there is to manage props, and it would all fall apart without them.
Wow.
Because actors are walking off stage, ditching a jacket, putting on a hat, and putting out their hand, and one of our prop volunteers is putting the thing in their hand that they need, or it's right there marked on the table, and they go back out 15 seconds later,
Wow.
right? It really is a dance backstage. And so if any of that, from lights to backstage to singing and dancing, sounds at all interesting to you, there is a spot at TCT for you to volunteer.
Yeah.
And we've had several people that start off as just backstage, and they swear they're never going to act. And then all of a sudden,
That's how it starts.
you get the bug.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
that's right.
And then they turn out to be fantastic. So it's a very organic thing that once you get involved, you find your niche. And then once you do that and you see a few productions, well, maybe I want to try this. And again, we're open to, if you want to do something, we'll give you the tools and we'll give you the opportunity to come in and learn and help.
That's awesome. So for those listening that want to support, but maybe they aren't inclined, or maybe they're even older, whatever their reason is, they don't think they're inclined to be in theater or anything. Are there ways that people in the community can also be involved and support the theater? Sponsorships, donations, obviously coming to the show just supports it naturally, but are there any opportunities like that for people who want to support a good cause, but maybe don't believe they're gifted to do so behind the scenes or on stage?
Absolutely. You mentioned tickets. First and foremost, come see a show.
Yeah.
Come see a show, buy a season ticket.
I was going to say buy a season ticket.
Buy a season ticket. It's a better deal for you, and it provides a constant, stream of income for the theater that we can count on.
Yeah.
Outside of that, we have several tiers of individual contributions from, all the way from the ground up that we recognize in our programs and before our shows and at special events and things like that. There is definitely a way for you to give. Sponsorships from the business side, we have show and season sponsors throughout our history, right? But there's typically a show sponsor, at least one show sponsor for every show. Usually there's more than one show sponsor. Again, I just can't thank Campbell Family Foundation enough, who has been our season sponsor for years now. And we can't do the day-to-day without knowing that the sponsorships and the grants that Ryan already mentioned are there. Other than that, even if you can't give to the theater and you don't think that being there or being on stage is your bag, right? You can come support us. You can share what we put out there on social media, and you can just tell stories about your experience seeing these things that we put on, because word of mouth is the best way of advertising.
Yeah.
People know that a show is happening, but after somebody goes on Friday night and tells their whole family at dinner on Saturday how great that experience was, well, then Sunday you've sold tickets, right?
Yeah.
And so, which is part of the reason we're doing...
Why we're doing two weekends, because like he said, normally you'll have a great Friday night. People start talking about it on Saturday. Sunday is your biggest crowd, and then normally we strike Sept with a straight play like this. It's normally 3 days.
It's over, yeah.
And so thankfully the school was available, and the board decided to do 2 weekends. So we're really hoping that we have some tremendous crowds for this show.
Yeah, and people are busy, and if you're gone all weekend, sometimes it's a bummer that you miss out. It's
that way.
Yeah, so now you have another opportunity. Awesome. So let's wrap up with some quick hits, just personal favorites.
Sure.
What are both of your personal favorite memories, favorite shows from all of your years at TCT?
Go ahead.
Directing, I would say this has been my favorite show that I've done.
Okay.
Other than this, I mentioned Noises Off. That was another great one that I directed. As far as favorite role, It was actually one that he directed. It was Clue. I was Colonel Mustard.
Nice.
And it was just an absolute joy. And again, it was a show that everybody wanted to be a part of, and we all had so much fun.
Yeah.
So those would be my, and as far as memories go, I think I've already talked about just watching the kids grow and develop and find their community and watching the mentorship in there. I think working with the kids and in the kid shows is my favorite part of the season, just because of the growth and what I see in those kids is really inspiring.
Nice. Chad?
Well, I mean, like I said, there's a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
But I've got a soft spot for the Shakespeare shows. It just gives actors and crew such an opportunity to stretch their acting muscles, right, and really go. So I got to have a large role in Much Ado About Nothing, which was many years ago, and then I got to direct Macbeth a couple of seasons ago. I guess 5 seasons ago now. Time flies. Those are really great, and I think far as favorite role, it depends on the day, but I did get to play George Bailey in our It's a Wonderful Life. And
That was really
that is it's just such a heartwarming, great show. It's got opportunities to smile and to be upset and all of those things. It's a lot of fun. But directing Clue may be the highlight if I'm honest. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, final question here. For somebody who hasn't come out to a show, this can also be just a final plug for this weekend's show. Why should they make this weekend's show the first one that they come and see?
I would say the biggest takeaway would be come out for one to have a great laugh, but also come out to support local live theater. Live theater is the only thing that you can collectively say is a unique experience. Our Friday night show will be different than Saturday night show, will be different than Sunday. And so you get the chance to buy a ticket and come be a collective part of something that will never happen again. You'll never be in the same audience. You'll never see the same show. And so come out, because in that space for 2 hours, we are a collective group sharing an experience that'll never happen again.
Wow.
And it'll be ridiculous,
Yeah.
which is all the better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this one sounds like a great first show to come out to.
right.
It's going to be full of lots of laughs. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for joining me. And we look forward to coming to the show the next 2 weekends.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.